Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Grant Foundation's monthly wellness webcast. I'm your moderator, Amy LaValle, and I have a new background with our new logo. Let me know what you think. Before I introduce today's presentation, I want to invite you to post any questions in the chat box below, and we'll do our best to answer them. Here at the Foundation, one of our pillars of living well with Parkinson's is nutrition. We want to help you learn about the role of nutrition in maintaining health, common challenges to healthy eating, and help you take charge of how you eat by providing some meal prep tips. Our webcast presenter, Jelena Etemovic, is a dedicated and compassionate registered dietitian, specializing in providing comprehensive support for individuals living with Parkinson's disease. Her journey into this specialized field began during her college years when her father was diagnosed with Parkinson's, marking the onset of her role as primary caregiver. This personal experience ignited Jelena's passion for leveraging the power of nutrition to address the multifaceted challenges and symptoms associated with PD. Today, Jelena extends her expertise to private clients dealing with Parkinson's, guiding them towards improved quality of life and empowering them to overcome obstacles to healthy eating. Welcome, Jelena, and thank you for being with us today.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. Amy did a very wonderful job at introducing me. I appreciate that. And so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to share my presentation slides. We just have a slight technical issue that my camera display on me will not be showing at the corner of the screen of my presentation. So you'll hear my voice, but you won't see me. So I apologize for that, but hopefully it still goes well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys. And this presentation is Nutrition, the Key to Healthy Living with Parkinson's, recommendations from a registered dietitian. And today also happens to be National Registered Dietitian Day. I don't think that it was intended when we planned this presentation. It just kind of happened coincidentally. So I'm really honored that I get to spend today talking about something that I am extremely passionate about. So, did you know nutrition plays a crucial role in Parkinson's disease management? And I'm asking you guys this question because nutrition is really more than just healthy eating when it comes to Parkinson's disease. Numerous studies have shown that certain nutrients actually have a protective effect against Parkinson's disease progression. Nutrients can actually help with symptom management associated with Parkinson's. And the effects of adequate nutrition and dietary interventions actually trickle down to improving the overall quality of life and well-being for people who are living with Parkinson's. So just some of the nutrition or Parkinson's related symptoms that nutrition can help prevent and improve are include, but are not limited to, things like constipation, gas, bloating, unintended weight loss, fatigue, low energy levels, trouble sleeping, stress, anxiety, brain fog, memory trouble, restless leg syndrome, muscle pain, cramping, mood disturbances. Nutrition can actually also help with medication effectiveness of Sinemet, something that not everybody knows. So nutrition plays a role in a lot of symptom management. You may not think of nutrition when you think of managing restless leg syndrome or brain fog or stress, but there are nutrients that can have benefits for every single one of these problems. So some of the topics that we're going to discuss in this presentation are the top foods for Parkinson's, the importance of fiber and managing constipation, and how to meal prep for Parkinson's. And a bit later today, I have a very special announcement for you guys that I think you're going to love. So if you hold on kind of closer towards the end of the presentation, I'll be making that announcement. So a little bit about myself. I'm a registered dietitian. I have both a bachelor's degree and master's degree in nutritional science. As part of my career, I have a private nutrition counseling practice where I specialize in Parkinson's disease. And I also work in a clinical setting, meaning that I see patients who are hospitalized. And my journey with Parkinson's disease began when my father was diagnosed with Parkinson's, which marked the onset of my role as his primary caregiver. After his diagnosis with Parkinson's disease, we were sent home with medication, but we weren't really prepared for the new set of challenges that he was going to experience. He started experiencing things like trouble sleeping, low energy levels, cognitive decline. He was complaining about being in pain. He was fatigued. He was dealing with constipation. And as you can imagine, these symptoms and complications really impacted his quality of life. And it was really hard watching somebody that I love live in pain. So I started to use my expertise in nutrition and make some changes to his diet. We started incorporating key nutrients, focused on hydration and exercise. We implemented some vitamin supplements and focused on sleep quality. And over time, we started to see that my dad was feeling better, his mood was better. He was getting improved nights of sleep. He had more energy during the day. He was thinking more clearly. He wasn't complaining of being in pain as much. The constipation had lessened, and overall, it felt like I was getting my dad back. After seeing such success in these interventions with my dad, I continued to kind of grow on these skills by helping other individuals with Parkinson's. And today I feel so fortunate that I'm able to help people live healthy, happy lives with Parkinson's and improve their overall well-being. So now let's get into the top foods for Parkinson's. And one of the top foods for Parkinson's are antioxidants. You may have heard this word before. Sometimes antioxidants get referred to as superfoods, but I'm going to go into a couple definitions just so you understand what antioxidants are and why they're so important for Parkinson's. So antioxidants are molecules that fight free radicals in your body. What are free radicals? Free radicals are compounds that are capable of damaging your body's cells, including your nerve cells. This means including the nerve cells that produce dopamine. So an excessive chronic amount of free radicals in your body causes a condition called oxidative stress. Oxidative stress emerges when an imbalance exists between free radical formation and the capability of cells to clear them. I tried to summarize this part so it wasn't so sciencey. It's kind of hard to explain oxidative stress, but essentially the way that you can think of oxidative stress is high loads of oxidation that are damaging your body's cells, including your nerve cells. Oxidative stress plays a role in the degeneration of neurons. So it contributes to that damage that's being done to nerve cells, which is a characteristic of Parkinson's disease progression. Now, the wonderful thing about antioxidants is they have the capability of protecting neurons from the damage caused by oxidative stress. And this is why I chose to highlight antioxidants as one of the top foods for Parkinson's. So our body actually has its own antioxidant defense system, but you can also get antioxidants from the diet. Antioxidants are found abundantly in a variety of plant-based whole foods. There's another compound that's found in plant-based whole foods called phytochemicals, And there's certain phytochemicals that can act as antioxidants and protect your body cells from damage. So as I mentioned, antioxidants and phytochemicals are found in a wide variety of plant-based whole foods. So those are going to be things like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, seeds, legumes, herbs, spices, dark chocolate. That's the one that I love. So you can go ahead and say that the dietitian said that you can eat chocolate, tea, and also another thing that I love, coffee. So you can add that to the list of recommendations the dietitian gave you. You're allowed to have chocolate and coffee. They're really high in antioxidants. Some examples of antioxidants, and you might be familiar with these. Vitamin C is an antioxidant, vitamin E, carotenoids, selenium, zinc. Some examples of phytochemicals are flavonoids, phenols, curcuminoids, resveratrol, lycopene. You don't really need to know the specific names of the antioxidants or phytochemicals, more so just the foods that are rich in these nutrients. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what antioxidants and phytochemicals are. So, curcuminoid is actually the active phytochemical in turmeric. So, you may have seen turmeric promoted as a health food or a supplement. That's because turmeric contains curcuminoids, which act as antioxidants and anti-inflammatory agents. Same thing with resveratrol. You may have heard red wine having resveratrol or red grapes having resveratrol. That's another potent phytochemical. Lycopene, which is found in tomatoes, is another potent phytochemical. And here's just, a graphic display of where you can find antioxidants. So dark chocolate, you don't have to tell me twice. Spices like cinnamon, ginger, turmeric. Cruciferous vegetables are a wonderful source of antioxidants. So cruciferous vegetables are going to include things like Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, kale, arugula. Beans and legumes are another really great source. Berries, all berries, blueberries, strawberries, cherries, blackberries, raspberries, and herbal teas such as green tea. And I included some tips for increasing antioxidant intake. So there's infinite ways that you can increase your intake of these foods. But here's just some tips. So you can add berries to cereal, oatmeal, yogurt, baked goods, smoothies. So just another reason to eat dessert. If you wanted to, add blueberries to a muffin recipe or make a pie with mixed berries. You could snack on fruit like apple slices and nut butter or dried fruit and nuts. You can experiment with using some of those antioxidant rich, phytochemical rich spices in your meals. So add cinnamon to oatmeal, turmeric in curry dishes, ginger in stir fries. Drink green tea, matcha tea, black tea, coffee. Um, you could add beans to salads, soups, burritos. Another thing that you can do with beans is use them as a meat substitute. So something that I'll do is I'll buy the pre-cooked lentils and I'll put taco seasoning on them and kind of use lentils as a substitute for meat in taco recipes. You can roast up cruciferous vegetables. So who doesn't love roasted Brussels sprouts? And you can also make a snack plate with dried fruit, nuts, dark chocolate. So like I said, there's numerous ways that you can increase antioxidants in your diet. These are just a few examples. And then just to reiterate, in regards to which foods have antioxidants, practically every plant-based whole food like fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, whole grains, beans, legumes have antioxidants and phytochemicals. So essentially, I'm just giving you the recommendation to eat more of those foods so that you can increase your intake of antioxidants. The next top food for Parkinson's are omega-3 fatty acids. And you may have heard of fish oil being recommended. Fish oil and omega-3 fatty acids are kind of used interchangeably because fish oil is an excellent source of omega-3s. So why omega-3s are so important for Parkinson's, we'll get into a few definitions so I can explain it a little bit better. So inflammation is a natural and essential process that helps your body fight infection and heal injuries. Inflammation is occurring in our body every day, and it's a normal process. However, chronic inflammation can contribute to disease and cause damage to cells, again, including nerve cells. So the same talking point that I was making about the antioxidants, I'm also making about omega-3s, and that is that as with oxidative stress, chronic inflammation can cause damage to your body's cells, including your nerve cells, which we want to protect our nerve cells with Parkinson's disease. And studies have demonstrated higher levels of brain inflammation in people living with Parkinson's than people without Parkinson's. Now, just as we have wonderful antioxidants to combat oxidative stress, we have omega-3 essential fatty acids to combat chronic inflammation and protect our cells from damage. So omega-3 essential fatty acids act as an anti-inflammatory agent in reducing the effects of inflammation. DHA, it's a long word, so DHA is used as the abbreviation, is the dominant omega-3 in the brain, and it impacts neurotransmitter and brain function. So not only are omega-3s essential for anti-inflammatory qualities, but omega-3 essential fatty acids also play a key role in brain function, such as impacting neurotransmitters, cognitive status, and overall brain health. So some of the food sources of omega-3s, you guys are probably familiar with salmon. So fish and seafood, especially cold water fatty fish like salmon, sardines, herring, trout, cod, oysters. If you don't like fish, then there are plant-based sources of omega-3s like certain nuts and seeds, flax seeds, chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, walnuts. Pasture raised or omega-3 enriched eggs are also a source. And, there are supplements that have omega-3s as well. You can find it in fish oil, krill oil, cod liver oil, and a plant-based option would be algae oil. And just some tips for increasing your omega-3 intake. So try to eat fatty fish twice a week. Add flax seeds to smoothies, oat milk, yogurt. Add chia seeds to smoothies, make chia seed pudding, which I'm a huge fan of, and I'm going to share a recipe with you guys. Add walnuts to cereal, oatmeal, yogurt, parfaits, baked goods. You'll notice I'm throwing in baked goods and sweets because I'm a big sweet tooth. So if there's a way to make it healthy by adding some antioxidants and omega-3s, why not enjoy the food that you like while making it very nutritious? Choosing pasture raised or omega-3 enriched eggs. And, if you don't really like eating fish, you can consider choosing a high quality omega-3 supplement, which I do recommend you try to get these nutrients through your diet. We always want to prioritize getting our nutrients through the food that we eat. But if for whatever reason, you don't like these foods or you don't eat enough of these foods, supplements are a great alternative to make sure that you get those nutrients in. And here's the recipe that I wanted to share with you guys. So I make this almost every week. It's taken me a while to get this recipe down. So I'm happy to share it with you guys. And it's a chia flaxseed pudding. And this is so wonderful because not only is it rich in omega-3s, but it's also really rich in antioxidants and fiber. And it's kind of a versatile recipe in that you can have it as a breakfast, or you can also make it more decadent and have it as a dessert. And so you'll receive the slides to this presentation with the instructions on this recipe. But one tip that I will give is just how you see it in the picture. I really like to layer it. You'll see the chia pudding in the middle, but then I like to layer it with yogurt, fresh fruit, nuts. You can even put peanut butter, dark chocolate chips, really just add whatever toppings you want to it. And now we'll get into our second topic, which is the importance of fiber and managing constipation. So essentially what dietary fiber is it's a type of carbohydrate that our body doesn't fully break down and absorb. And it's found in, again, a variety of whole plant-based foods. And dietary fiber plays a crucial role in managing digestive health. Most Americans, and in the standard American diet, most Americans are not meeting their daily fiber needs. And fiber has a number of health benefits, but primarily for Parkinson's disease, there's a couple points that I really want to make to why it's beneficial. So there's something called the gut-brain connection, and this is essentially a network of communication that exists between our brain and our gut. And the gut has also been referred to as the body's second brain. Our gut health greatly impacts our nervous system and our brain health. So having a healthy gut is very, very important for Parkinson's, cognitive function, brain fog, memory, all of those cognitive features that we want to keep viable and healthy with Parkinson's disease. Focusing on your gut health is a really great way of nurturing your nervous system. And fiber promotes a healthy gut. The other thing about fiber is it promotes having bowel movements. And why this is so important is one of our body's detoxification pathways exists when we excrete waste by having bowel movements. So when we have bowel movements, our body is excreting waste and toxins from our body, and fiber helps us have bowel movements. Another benefit of fiber is it promotes a balanced gut microbiome. So you may have heard probiotics. Probiotics are promoted a lot. And probiotics actually feed off of something called prebiotics, and prebiotics are found in fiber. So providing your gut with that dietary fiber helps feed those beneficial bacteria so that you have a balanced microbiome. And as I mentioned before, just a healthy digestion is key for optimizing your health with Parkinson's disease. Do not neglect your gut health when you're trying to manage your Parkinson's disease. I can't stress that point enough. There's a very strong connection between your gut health and your brain health, and making sure that your gut is functioning healthy is going to have an impact on your, not just your overall health, but your cognitive health. So some examples of fiber-rich foods are whole grains like oats, whole wheat, brown rice, quinoa, beans, legumes, um, dark leafy green vegetables like spinach, kale, collard greens, chard, dried fruit like dates, figs, prunes, and fresh fruit like apples, pears, and oranges. And adults actually need around 25 to 30 grams of daily fiber. So, as I mentioned before, most Americans are not hitting that number of 25 to 30 grams of fiber. But I strongly encourage you all to work towards making that a goal. So just eat more of these whole grains, beans, dark leafy green vegetables, fruits, and I'll provide some examples on the next slide of how to increase those intakes. So choose whole grains over refined white grains. So maybe make a switch from white rice to brown rice, or make a switch from white bread and white pasta to whole wheat bread or multigrain bread, whole wheat pasta. Incorporate grains like quinoa and oats into your diet. Add more beans and legumes to soups, salads, burritos. As I mentioned, beans can be used as a substitute for meat in certain recipes. Add vegetables to meals. So, like when you're making breakfast in the morning, if you're making an omelet, throw some vegetables in there. Salads, soups. You can always throw vegetable into soups, wraps, sandwiches, pasta, stir fries. Snack on vegetables and hummus, or carrot sticks and ranch dressing, whatever you like, whatever it takes to get you to eat more of those foods. You can make smoothies with fresh fruit, flax seeds, and you can make yogurt parfaits. So let's talk about constipation. In one of the first slides, I listed out different symptoms, Parkinson's related symptoms that nutrition can help prevent or improve. I wanted to focus on constipation because constipation is actually one of the most frequent non-motor symptoms associated with Parkinson's. So even if you're not experiencing constipation yourself, I still want to give you this information so you know what to do should you start experiencing constipation. So constipation refers to difficulty passing stool and or a decrease in the number of stools. So you're either having a really hard time straining, you feel like you have to go to the bathroom, but then when you go, nothing's really happening, or you're just going less frequently. This can cause discomfort such as bloating, cramping, straining, and dealing with this symptom can really take a toll on the way someone feels and in doing the things that they enjoy. When somebody's experiencing constipation, they just don't feel so good, right? They go on to put on their pants and they're tight because they're bloated, or they want to go out and exercise, but they just feel so uncomfortable because they're constipated. Maybe they're having to depend on things like stool softeners and laxatives, which aren't really fun to deal with. So a symptom like constipation can really just impact the way that you feel. And I wanted to take a case study to kind of give you guys a real life example of one of my clients who came to me with constipation. So Tim came to me and he was struggling with ongoing constipation. His constipation was so severe at times that it led to hospitalization. He depended on taking laxatives and stool softeners regularly, It was really affecting his ability to do the things he enjoyed, like exercise. He was tired of taking laxatives because he felt like he had to run to the bathroom when he was out and about, and he started to really feel like this issue was taking over his life. So when Tim came to me, he was pretty helpless. He felt like being constipated was just his new norm, and like I said, he really felt like it was just taking over his life. So some of the changes that we made in Tim's diet was we made sure he was getting that 25 to 30 grams of fiber daily. And some of the ways we did this were we switched to whole grain products. So, he was typically eating white rice, white bread, white pasta, and we made the switch to whole grains like brown rice, whole wheat pasta, whole wheat bread. We started increasing the intake of fruits and vegetables. So, for his eggs in the morning, we were adding in some spinach and mushrooms. When he had oatmeal, we added in some berries and flax seeds. He would have a smoothie for lunch where he packed in a bunch of fruits and seeds. And we really just looked at what Tim was currently eating and how we could make it more fiber rich. We made sure he was adequately hydrated. Now, this is a point that I really want to stress is making sure you're adequately hydrated. I would say that in addition to not eating enough fiber, people are probably not, drinking enough fluids, and the two go hand in hand. If you're going to be eating a high fiber diet, you have to be drinking enough fluid. Otherwise, it can actually cause constipation. If you're eating a lot of fiber, but you're not adequately hydrated, it can actually slow digestion down and just make it harder to pass stools. Water plays a very essential role in digestive health and bowel regularity. So please make sure you're adequately hydrated. My client Tim was not drinking enough water, so we started to track his fluid intake to make sure he was adequately hydrated. We also incorporated movement and exercise into his day. So, believe it or not, movement, just, getting up and walking around, stretching, physical activity can actually help stimulate something called peristalsis, which is the movement of the muscles in your GI tract. So just getting up and moving around a little bit more can help with bowel regularity. So, in today's society, a lot of us are very sedentary. I'll even say for myself, I'm sitting in front of a computer at work for most of the day. So it's just a very sedentary lifestyle. If you're sitting in front of the computer or sitting in front of the TV, and then you get in your car and you're sitting in the car, you really have to make an active decision to get up and move around more, and that is going to help with your digestion. We also focused on removing stressors and incorporating stress relief techniques. So stress can also contribute to constipation or poor digestion. And the reason for this is when we're stressed, we release certain hormones that kind of put our body in a fight or flight state. And when our body is in a fight or flight state, it does not prioritize digestion. So it's so important to focus on reducing stress in your life, not just for constipation. There's other symptoms where this is important. But I really encourage you guys to take a good look at where stress is stemming from in your life and figure out ways to reduce that and incorporate more stress relief techniques. So some stress relief techniques are going to be things like breathing exercises, stretching, yoga, going on walks, getting out in nature. Stress relief techniques can even be turning the notifications off on your cell phone after a certain time, or canceling plans that you don't feel like you have the energy or social battery to attend. Um, just really, really prioritizing your well-being. And we also added some magnesium supplements. Magnesium can be a beneficial supplement for digestive health and constipation because it has an osmotic effect where it can draw water into the GI tract and just make it easier for stools to pass. So as a result of all these interventions, Tim started having regular bowel movements, less straining, less bloating, no more discomfort, no longer depending on laxatives and stool softeners regularly. And he was able to do the things he enjoyed, like exercise, going out with friends, and it improved his overall well-being. So by making these changes to his diet and lifestyle, not only did he alleviate the constipation and the discomfort caused by that, but constipation was no longer a barrier in his life. He wasn't depending on laxatives where he had to run to the bathroom. He wasn't feeling too uncomfortable to go out and exercise. And this trickled down to improving his overall quality of life. All right, everyone, we're still going to cover the tips for meal planning, but before we do that, I want to share that special opportunity that I'm very excited to share with you guys. And so in my practice, I have something called a Parkinson's strategy session. Now, this session is valued at $275 for a standalone session. But today, as a way of giving back, I wanted to offer participants a complimentary strategy session with me. I have about 10 spots open in my calendar to gift 10 of you here with one of these Parkinson's strategy sessions. During this session, we'll create a crystal clear vision of what optimal health looks like for you. We'll uncover the hidden challenges that have been holding you back from feeling your best, and you'll leave the session not only inspired with tangible next steps to work towards your health goals. In order to claim one of these Parkinson's strategy sessions, you'll want to visit this link that I have displayed on the screen. It'll also be shared in the chat box. So that link is bit.ly, that's bit.ly/nutrition PD. I also have a QR code displayed up on the screen, so you can just hold your cell phone up to that QR code and it'll take you to the link. And essentially what you're going to want to do is visit this link and fill out your name and email, and expect to receive an email from me in the next day or two with an application to apply for a Parkinson's strategy session. And I'll be selecting the 10 most committed participants for a complimentary Parkinson's strategy session. So please apply. Even if you don't think you're going to get selected this time, I encourage you to apply, and I promise to keep you on my wait list for the next opportunity. As a bonus, you're also going to receive a free guide that I created, which is 5 ways to prevent and alleviate constipation. So I'll leave this slide up for just a minute so you can get the information down. But as I mentioned, the link is also going to be shared in the chat box.
Jelena, while we have this slide up, can I just ask a few questions pertaining to what we just discussed?
Sure.
First, regarding the case study about him, how long did it take to see the results after he made the lifestyle changes?
It definitely takes some patience. So when it comes to making all of those changes in your diet and lifestyle, you really want to start by, not overwhelming yourself with trying to drastically change the way you're eating or the way you live your life. So we really started with just looking at what he was currently eating and figuring out ways that we could add in more fiber. So it took a couple weeks for him to really make those changes in his diet. And, it took some time for him to start incorporating more movement and exercise into his life, make sure he was drinking enough fluids. And I would say, after a couple weeks, he was less constipated, but I would say after about a month or two of really adhering to those changes, Tim was really getting relief and feeling better and having regular bowel movements. So you really have to have some patience with yourself. Remember that diet and lifestyle changes, it's not like a drug that you take, right? Like a laxative might have an immediate effect, but a laxative does not give you sustainable long-term results, and it doesn't treat the underlying issue. Nutrition and lifestyle is going to take some time, but it's going to give you sustainable results, and it's going to get to the root cause of the problem.
And then one more question is, what if you have the opposite issue and you have diarrhea?
If you have diarrhea, you actually still need fiber because fiber adds bulk to your stool. So there's two different kinds of fiber. It's kind of a it's a topic in itself to get into. So you might just want to look this up for yourself. There's two types of fiber, soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. To treat diarrhea, you're going to want to add more insoluble fiber to your diet because insoluble fiber really adds more bulk to your stool. So I'll say that about fiber, but I will say you really want to get to the root cause of why you're experiencing diarrhea. It could be a side effect of a medication. It could be something else you're eating that your body's not tolerating well. You really want to figure out what's causing the diarrhea in the first place.
Thank you. I'll let you continue with your presentation.
Okay, great. So we'll get to our third learning topic, and that is how to meal prep with Parkinson's. So, when it comes to meal prepping with Parkinson's, it's important for us to acknowledge some potential barriers to meal prepping and cooking. So, some of the motor symptoms that might impact your ability to meal prep and cook could include tremor, rigidity, bradykinesia, gait, postural instability, problems with balance and coordination. Some of the non-motor symptoms could be fatigue or memory loss. For example, there might be days where your fatigue just totally overcomes you, and the idea of getting in the kitchen and meal prepping and cooking, just the idea of it alone sounds exhausting. Or maybe you have a tremor, and maybe now when it comes to things like chopping fruits and vegetables or, handling a heavy pot, just might not be safe. So some of these symptoms can really affect your ability to cook and meal prep. Like I said, chopping and peeling produce, cutting meat, handling heavy pots and pans, multitasking, managing time-sensitive cooking tasks, trouble standing for long periods of time. Maybe you have pain in your legs or you're tired. Maybe you feel too tired to cook, and maybe it's a safety hazard to deal with sharp knives and boiling pots of water. Something that I also want to add, as my role as a caregiver, and kind of why I really wanted to focus on this learning point, and I didn't really put this on the slide, but your role as a caregiver, and maybe there's some caregivers in the audience, is a very busy role, right? It's rewarding to help the people that we love, and we're happy to do it, but it can be a very busy role between providing direct care to the person you're caregiving for, but also managing medications, doctor's appointments, and also managing, your own life. It's not always easy to spend all day in the kitchen meal prepping and making sure that, you have all this healthy food ready. And so the tips that I'm going to provide are not just relevant for someone who's living with Parkinson's disease, but it's also relevant for caregivers and family members who are cooking. And the biggest advice that I can give to you guys is to keep it simple. Meal prepping and cooking does not have to be so complicated. You're going to want to save time and address physical barriers to cooking by choosing food items that require little to no preparation. This can be purchasing pre-cut, pre-washed produce, asking the butcher or seafood clerk to cut the meat and seafood for you. That's something I started doing actually. They're happy to help. So I'm like, can you please chop that up for me? I mean, why not, right? That's their job and they're happy to help if they're not busy. Purchasing ready to eat frozen items, using kitchen tools that help simplify cooking and reduce physical labor. There are plenty of convenient foods that are still nutritious. For example, frozen foods and frozen vegetables retain their vitamin and mineral content. Frozen fruits and vegetables come pre-washed and chopped, and they cook very quickly. Frozen fruit can be added to smoothies, or you can thaw and add them to oatmeal or parfaits. And here's a list of nutritious food items that require little to no prep time. And just for time's sake, I won't go through this list because I know we're getting close to the end and we want some Q&A. But I did just want to show you guys how there are nutritious foods that require little to no preparation or cook time to help save you some time and energy in the kitchen. Very quickly, here's just some examples of assistive devices. If you have a tremor, there's foam grip tubing or adaptive utensils. There's hand pressure choppers, and there's also tools that make cooking and meal prepping safer. And just as a summary, I wanted to reiterate to you guys that nutrition plays an important role in managing Parkinson's-related symptoms and complications. You can get relief from Parkinson's-related symptoms and complications and improve your well-being. Antioxidants, omega-3 fatty acid-rich foods help protect and defend your body's nervous system from damage. Fiber is essential for a healthy gut, which is key for managing Parkinson's. And please just focus on simplifying meal prepping and cooking so that it's easier to adhere to healthy eating. And thank you guys. I really want to thank the Brian Grant Foundation for having me here and an opportunity to talk about something I'm so passionate about. And please don't forget to claim your free gift. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you guys can see my face, and we'll do a quick Q&A.
That was fantastic, Jelena. And I don't know if you saw the comment, but people actually were able to see your face.
Oh,
So don't
good.
worry, it wasn't just the slides.
Okay, then that was maybe awkward when I was looking down at my paper and reading.
No, you did great. We had a question about water and fluids. So how much water should the average person be intaking? And then what are some other fluid options?
Sure. So the fluid question, the how much fluid somebody should be drinking is kind of a hard question to answer from a clinical standpoint because somebody might be able to give you a very general recommendation, but that's kind of not really appropriate because our fluid needs depend on several different factors. Our age, our activity level, the climate we live in. It could even depend on health conditions. Certain people who have kidney conditions or heart conditions might require less fluids. So it's really hard for me to give a general fluid recommendation just in case there is somebody in the audience who does have cardiovascular or kidney issues. I don't want to give a value that they feel like they have to stick to. Um, I will say how we usually calculate people's fluid needs is take your weight in kilograms. I'm not going to do the conversion for you guys, but take your weight in kilograms, which, okay, you just divide your weight in pounds by 2.2. You take your weight in kilograms and you multiply that by 25. And that is a general, keyword general fluid recommendation for people who
Okay.
don't have any fluid restriction issues.
Okay. And then what about other fluids other than water? So
Oh,
you
yeah.
recommended green tea and coffee, and
Yeah.
smoothies, but
Sure. So other sources of water could be there's water-rich fruits and vegetables like
Mhm.
watermelon, cucumber, lettuce, those are the top ones that I'm thinking of. But actually, some of the questions you guys are asking pertaining to fluids. So, you know how I mentioned if you go sign up for the complimentary session, you'll get my free guide, The 5 Ways to Prevent and Alleviate Constipation. I include a whole section on hydration where I talk about ways to increase your hydration, not only with water, but water-rich foods and other fluid alternatives like coconut water, sports drinks, electrolytes. So if you visit that link and sign up, you will receive that free guide in your email that'll have a lot more information on
Okay.
hydration.
Thank you about that. What about alcohol? What is your uh, view about our alcohol
Yeah.
intake?
Um, that's a trick question. No. So that's a trick question. That's a hard question to answer. I can't promote that you should drink alcohol, but
Mhm.
I am a big proponent about living a life that you enjoy and not taking all of the fun out of your life.
Yeah.
So if it's safe for you to enjoy an alcoholic beverage and there's no contraindications with your medication and your doctor says it's okay, then I don't really have a take on it from a nutritional standpoint. If you wanted to choose an antioxidant rich alcoholic beverage, then red wine contains resveratrol, and resveratrol is one of those phytochemicals. So there's that.
Okay. Um, is there a beneficial difference between caffeinated and decaffeinated coffees and teas?
That's a good question. I want to say that I don't think the caffeine content affects the antioxidant content. I think the two are separate. Don't quote me on that because I haven't really like researched the difference in caffeine versus non-caffeine. Personally, I don't see an issue with consuming caffeine if you don't have any contraindications to
Okay.
consuming it. So unless a doctor has told you, you can't consume caffeine because of a specific health condition or medication that you're on, as long as you're not over consuming caffeine, I don't see any perceived harm in enjoying a cup of caffeinated coffee or tea. In terms of the antioxidants, I don't think that there's really going to be a difference between caffeine or caffeine free. The only thing that I will say about that is if you do experience insomnia or trouble sleeping as a side effect of your Parkinson's, then you may want to be mindful about when you drink caffeine and how that impacts your sleep.
Okay. Um, as we know, some people with Parkinson's have difficulties maintaining weight, a healthy weight. So, what would be some recommendations to help increase their weight with healthy food?
Sure. So when it comes to unintentionally losing weight, meaning losing weight without trying, or just having a very difficult time putting on weight, you're going to want to make sure that you choose nutrient dense foods or calorically dense foods. And what I mean by that is certain foods pack in more calories per serving, specifically fat. So fat is the most calorically dense nutrient. And there are healthy fats that you can eat regularly that won't have like a negative side effect on your health. So healthy fats are going to include things like full fat dairy. So if you're having trouble putting on weight, you don't want to buy the light yogurt or the 2% milk. You want the full fat version. Avocados, peanut butter, nuts, olive oil, just finding ways to add those very calorically dense nutrients to your diet, which again is going to be found in fat. Carbohydrates also help with weight, putting on weight. Protein, not so much. So sometimes I'll talk to clients and they think that eating a high protein diet is going to help them gain weight.
Mhm.
Protein is for muscle and it repairs things in our body. It doesn't really serve the purpose of helping us gain fat and weight. So protein is still good, but don't think of protein as the nutrient that's going to help you gain weight. Think of fat and carbohydrates. And another thing I will say is a lot of the times in the hospital, and maybe if you've ever been hospitalized, somebody's recommended Boost or Ensure. The reason that those oral nutrition supplements are recommended, a lot of the times we recommend them in the hospital when people have lost weight, is because in that small serving of like Boost or Ensure or whatever nutrient supplement you want to drink, you can pack in a lot of calories and protein. So if they don't have very much of an appetite, but they have enough of an appetite to drink one or two of those, then it can really help increase their calorie and protein intake.
Okay. Speaking of protein, we know there's some difficulty when we take our medications with it. So, and I know there's recommendations of taking it on an empty stomach before, or, taking our medications before or after meals with a certain length of time. But for instance, I take my pills 5 times a day. So it's really hard
Is.
to, fit it around my meals. So what would you recommend for managing the protein and the interactions with carbidopa levodopa?
Oh yeah. So for the people in the audience, because this isn't it's actually not common knowledge. Some people never find out that there's an interaction between protein and carbidopa levodopa. So I just want to start with that in case there's anybody in the audience who isn't aware of that interaction. So essentially, carbidopa levodopa, and also known as Sinemet, the primary medication for Parkinson's, is absorbed in the same pathway in your gut as protein. And essentially, what they've found is the two can compete for absorption. And you want your carbidopa levodopa to be as effective as possible, right? It plays a key role in your Parkinson's symptoms and the way you feel. So you want to optimize the absorption of that medication. And one way of doing that is to space out when you take your carbidopa levodopa and when you eat protein. And I want to emphasize that it's not when you eat any food, it's specifically when you eat protein. So you can take your carbidopa levodopa with a carbohydrate or a fat. You don't have to be fasting. You can take carbidopa levodopa with a banana, some crackers, some oatmeal and berries. You can still eat. You just don't want to eat a high protein meal. So you don't want to have like meat or eggs or fish or a protein shake. Not that your medication's not going to work. It's just maybe less of it will be absorbed, right? So it does get very tricky when somebody is taking carbidopa levodopa multiple times a day, like 5 times a day, because they still have to eat and you still need to get adequate protein intake in, right? You don't want to be deficient in protein. It's a very important nutrient. So it takes a lot of careful planning with your meals. There's definitely different methods of doing this. What some people will do is a protein redistribution diet, where they eat most of their protein at night when they don't need their medication to be as effective because they're winding down for the night and they're not at work and driving and picking up their kids from school or whatever activities where you really want your medication to be absorbed really well. So they'll reserve most of their protein intake for the end of the day. That's one method of doing it. Another method is just to have very outlined medication times and meal times and just have a very consistent pattern, and you really only have to space it out about an hour before or after. So you don't have to space it out too much. So maybe plan to take your medication and then have breakfast an hour later, and then maybe have a small snack. And then a little bit after that, you have your second medication. And then an hour later, you have lunch. It really just comes down to strategically planning out those times, which isn't practical. I'll say that.
Well, thank you so much. I know there were so many more questions
I
coming in,
know, I'm
everyone.
sorry I can't get to all of them, but
I know
like I
we're
said, if
running.
you guys, yeah, if you apply for the Parkinson strategy session, you'll have, a lot more time to talk
Yeah.
to me one-on-one. So, there's always a lot of questions, but
Yeah,
thank you guys so much for having me. I really hope that you got a lot of useful information out of this.
we did. And thank you so much for offering that opportunity. It was a fantastic presentation. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I hope you found this helpful and have some new things to take away from this. Everybody, go out and have a nice cup of green tea and some dark chocolate today.
Yes, please have
We will,
some dark chocolate and coffee and
exactly. Enjoy yourself too. We will see you all again next month for our April Wellness webcast when Parkinson's gets in the way of exercise. Thank you again, and thank you, Jelena.
thank you
Everybody, have a
guys.
wonderful day.
Bye. Have a good day.